Why would someone who earned close to $140 million as a quarterback in the NFL and millions more in endorsements take money meant to help low-income families and children? Well, according to reports and what has been described as the largest welfare scheme in Mississippi's history, this is precisely what Brett Favre is being accused of. Former NFL quarterback Brett Favre, former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant, former Mississippi Department of Human Services Director John Davis, who was sentenced to 32 years in prison on September 22nd for his role in this welfare scheme, and Nancy New. New, along with her son, pleaded guilty to federal charges earlier this year. They were accused of defrauding the Mississippi Department of Education out of $2 million. The News ran the now-closed New Summit School, which specialized in helping students overcome learning disability.
Nancy New and her son Zach, already indicted on state charges connected to the largest public embezzlement case in Mississippi history, now admitting their guilt on federal charges after they were accused of defrauding the Mississippi Department of Education out of $2 million. According to federal prosecutors, the News submitted false documents about the now closed New Summit School in Jackson, which specialized in educating children with learning disabilities. In federal court Wednesday, Nancy New pleaded guilty to 1 count of wire fraud, while Zach New pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud.
Nancy and her son did what they said they did. If they admitted to it, regardless who was involved, they knew better.
The federal case against the News, not connected to state charges, they're both indicted on involving more than $77 million in alleged misspent federal welfare dollars, which Dolores Sewell says could have gone to pay for child care for needy families who send their kids to her Jackson daycare center.
You look at it, they just did not feel as though poor children and parents were worthy of the funds. And this seems to be the attitude of Mississippi.
While many people and businesses have been named in this welfare scheme, these are the key players. On May 9th of this year, the Mississippi Department of Human Services filed a lawsuit. The lawsuit states that more than $20 million was squandered. The fund was designated for the anti-poverty program TANF, which stands for Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. However, instead of using the funds to help needy families, the funds were utilized to purchase stocks, pay for speaking engagements, and construct a volleyball stadium, among many other things that the funds were not lawfully designated. According to the lawsuit, John Davis, the executive director of the MDHS, Mississippi Department of Human Services, and Nancy New, CEO of the Mississippi Community Education Center, MCEC, both agreed that Davis would disregard all legal requirements pertaining to lawful TANF funds use in order to facilitate and support transfers of TANF funds by Nancy New through MCEC to entities owned by Nancy New, her family members, and friends. In exchange, Nancy New would also disregard all legal requirements pertaining to lawful TANF fund use in order for MCEC and FRC to transfer TANF funds to John Davis's family members and friends. And here's where the former NFL quarterback Brett Favre comes in. It appears that he's one of the friends that benefited from these funds. The lawsuit claims that in December of 2018, Brett Favre urged Jacob Van Landenham, the CEO of Previcus, to ask Nancy New to use MDHS grant proceeds to invest in Previcus stock. Brett Favre informed Van Landenham that Nancy New had previously provided substantial grant funds on his behalf. The lawsuit also states in December of 2018, Brett Favre was the largest outside investor and holder of Previcus stock. Here is a 2017 clip from Fox News featuring Brett Favre and Jacob Van Landenham.
Super Bowl marked the end of a grueling season for many players in the league, and throughout the season, many players endured brain-addling hits causing concussions. While no single cure-all for concussions exists yet, there is a promising new treatment. It is called nasal spray. It is a nasal spray called Prevacol, and it is set to begin phase 1 clinical studies. Joining us right now is former NFL star Brett Favre and the founder and president of Prevacus, Dr. Jacob Van Landenham. Good to see you.
In 2019, Brett Favre hosted a meeting at his home in Mississippi. Jacob Van Landenham, Nancy New, and John Davis were in attendance. The lawsuit states that the purpose of the meeting was to pitch the sale of Previcus stock to New and Davis. Following that meeting, Van Landenham and Favre agreed with Nancy New that she would spend substantial MDHS grant funds to purchase stock in Prevacus and later its corporate affiliate, Presol MD Inc. In the end, MCEC handed over a total of $2.5 million in TANF funds to Prevacus and Presol MD. The lawsuit also states that Brett Favre and a company he owned, Favre Enterprise Inc., entered into a contract with MCEC. The contract required that Brett Favre speak at 3 different public events and 1 keynote address, and that Brett Favre would sign autographs at events promoting MCEC. Neither Brett Favre nor anyone on behalf of Favre Enterprise Inc. performed any such speaking or autographing service. However, MCEC paid Brett Favre Enterprise Inc. with TANF funds totaling $1.1 million. It is also alleged that $5 million of TANF funds went to the construction of the University of Southern Mississippi's volleyball stadium, which is Brett Favre's alma mater and where his daughter attended and played volleyball. According to the lawsuit, a meeting was held at USM on July 24, 2017. John Davis, Nancy New, and Brett Favre were in attendance. Additionally, it states that although Brett Favre allegedly approached MDHS for funding for the volleyball facility for the first time at that meeting, MDHS committed $4 million in TANF funds for the construction of the volleyball facility. Following the meeting, Brett Favre texted Nancy New the following message.
Nancy, thank you again. John mentioned $4 million, and not sure if I heard him right. Very big deal and can't thank you enough.
While Brett Favre was happy with MDHS' $4 million commitment, he knew it wouldn't be enough to fund a state-of-the-art volleyball facility. And since USM had a policy that all projects had to be fully funded and money deposited into USM's account, Favre attempted to obtain additional funding. On July 29th of 2017, Brett Favre texted Nancy New.
Also, I want to help you and was thinking a PSA is one option that could be done quick and easy to put together. Okay. I could record a few radio spots here initially, I'm sure right here. See how it is received and whatever compensation could go to USM.
To which Nancy New replied,
$4 million. Just kidding. The first phase could be $500,000 and after September we can renew. This is a good approach. What do you think?
Brett Favre replied with,
Was just thinking that is the way to do it.
Then Nancy New responded with the following message.
Exactly. Okay, Zach can get you a MOA or you may have one that you would rather use. Either way, we can get this done.
After Favre's proposal on July 29th of 2017, MCEC paid Favre $1.1 million for a radio spot to help fund the construction of the volleyball facility. The lawsuit also indicates that the former governor of Mississippi, Phil Bryant, helped Brett Favre secure welfare funds to construct the volleyball stadium. According to the lawsuit, Brett Favre had grown impatient with USM's slow progress, therefore he contacted Governor Bryant to move things along. In response, the governor called Nancy New. New then texted Favre.
Wow, just got off the phone with Phil Bryant. He is on board with us. We will get this done.
To which Favre responded,
Awesome, I needed to hear that for sure.
In 2019, John Davis, the director of Mississippi Department of Human Services, announced his retirement. Some reports say he was forced out due to suspected fraud. Within weeks of Davis' departure, Favre texted Nancy New.
Nancy, if I can help you in any way you know I will. Please know that.
To which New replied,
Thanks, Brett. That means a lot to me. I am okay, just politics and people. We are trying to stay above all the foolishness and we will. Too much good stuff to get done. I am concerned though that I may not be able to assist you in August as we had planned. I will continue to work on that though. I am not sitting still. Hope all is well with you.
Favre responded with,
Oh my goodness. Even if it's a little later? The due date.
Favre immediately contacted Governor Bryant about whether John Davis's departure would affect the volleyball facility funding. Governor Bryant followed up with the following text message.
I will handle that, long story but had to make a change. But I will call Nancy and see what it will take.
And Favre forwarded this message to Nancy New. According to the lawsuit, Brett Favre was not satisfied with the text from the governor. Therefore, Favre met with the governor in person later that afternoon. After the meeting between Governor Bryant and Favre, Governor Bryant texts New.
Just left Brett Favre. Can you help him with this project? We should meet soon to see how I can make sure we keep your projects on course.
Nancy New responded with the following message.
I would really appreciate having the opportunity to follow through with all the good things we are working on, especially projects like Brett's and Tim Bennett's. I can make myself available when you have time. I would really appreciate a little of your time soon.
Governor Bryant responded.
I can do 4 p.m. on Thursday.
New responded.
Thank you. I can be there.
The lawsuit also includes text messages indicating that the then governor guided Brett Favre on how to write a funding proposal that would be accepted by the Mississippi Department of Human Services. On August 14, 2019, Governor Bryant texts Favre.
In Ghana, Africa today. Be back on Saturday. Nancy has to provide the proper documentation to MDHS. It's all up to her get the paperwork in and then I can help.
Favre forwarded that message to Nancy New, to which New replied.
Wow, I have given the proper information to several people several times. Even the new director mentioned this proposal to me the other day, so I know they have seen it. But I will definitely submit it again today. When we get this done and you and I have a few minutes to visit, I will share a couple of my real thoughts with you on some folks. But in the meanwhile, I am sending this proposal again and will keep pushing. Thanks so much.
Brett Favre then followed up with this message.
Do you want me to say anything back to the governor? He said to me just a second ago that he has not seen it, but hint that you need to reword it to get it accepted.
New then replied with the following message.
Reword? Wonder what he means. I am making a call now to get a little more information from someone on the inside and will get back with you. Just let him know that it was submitted, but I am reworking it today.
One of the most troubling aspects of this is that Mississippi is the poorest state in the country, and according to news reports, Mississippi rejects more than 90% of the people who apply for federal welfare benefits.
You know, you have to make a choice whether you want to pay your light bill or whether you want to put food on the table.
Tamara Edwards raised 4 children on her own in Mississippi, applying for welfare benefits just once for childcare while she worked. Each year, Mississippi gets $86 million in welfare money from the federal government, though the state rejects 90% of those who apply, including Edwards.
When I reapplied, I was not able to be on it again because they told me that they didn't have the fundings for it.
But the state was dispersing millions more of its welfare dollars, just not to families that urgently needed it. In court documents and audit reports, the state alleges that the head of Mississippi's welfare agency squandered more than $70 million intended for children in poverty, instead using it as a private slush fund to benefit his family and friends.
So you have people who desperately need these funds being denied, but someone who is worth millions is able to receive them for unlawful purposes. And I say unlawful purposes because the funds were not being used for the reasons they were lawfully designated for. John Davis and Nancy New have both been charged. New pleaded guilty to 13 felony counts, while Davis has pleaded guilty to 2 federal charges. As of now, Brett Favre has not been charged. He has only been named in a civil lawsuit. Recently, Brett Favre made a statement in which he said, "No one told me, and I did not know, that the funds designated for welfare recipients were going to the university or me." However, his text messages tell a different story. On August 3rd, Brett Favre sent the following message to Nancy New.
If you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much?
Nancy New replied with the following message.
No, we never have had that information publicized. I understand you being uneasy about that though. Let's see what happens on Monday, with the conversation with some of the folks at Southern. Maybe it will click with them. Hopefully.
To which Brett Favre replied,
Okay, thanks.
The 2 individuals that have already been charged, Nancy New and John Davis, are cooperating with investigators and have agreed to testify against others. It's going to be interesting to see if Brett Favre is eventually charged. So let me know what you think about this whole situation. And also let me know, do you think Brett Favre is going to be charged?